How long has it been since you've had a truly good day? I want you to listen closely to what God has for you today. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you're searching for answers that haven't come. Lost without a sense of direction. Running out of strength to even keep up the act. To keep pretending that everything is okay. The most dangerous thing about a bad day is that it tries to convince you that God has walked away. But look at the Word. The greatest miracles in history happened on the absolute worst days.
It was a bad day, and yet Jesus walked on the water. The disciples were terrified. The wind was howling. The boat was being tossed by the waves. It looked like the end. But it was in the middle of that storm that Jesus showed up. Because God has a habit of showing up exactly when everyone else thinks it's over. It was a bad day, but manna fell from the clouds. The people were drained. They were starving, trapped in the middle of a wasteland. There was no market, no resources, and zero human solutions. And yet, God sustained every single one of their steps. Because where man reaches his limit, God is just getting started. It was a bad day, but the walls came crashing down. Jericho looked impossible. Too big, too strong, too high. Maybe there's something like that in your life right now. A problem that feels untouchable. But God proved something that day. The size of the wall doesn't matter when He decides to move. It was a bad day, but the sea parted. Moses was cornered, the people were in a panic, an army was closing in from behind. There was no path forward, only fear. Sometimes life feels just like that. You look ahead and see no way out. You look back and see the pressure. You look inside and just want to give up. But that was exactly where God did the impossible. Because when there is no way, He creates one. It was a bad day, but the fire couldn't touch Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into the furnace. They tried to break their faith. They tried to force them to bow. But there was a presence inside that fire with them. Maybe you're in a furnace today. A silent struggle. A pain that no one else understands. A battle inside your own mind. Just know that God does not abandon His children in the fire. He walks in with them. It was a bad day, but Daniel slept among the lions and walked out untouched. Everyone expected it to be his end. Everyone thought he'd be torn apart. But God shut the mouths of the lions. I don't know what lions are trying to attack you today. Anxiety, fear, debt, loneliness, exhaustion, discouragement. But I know this. God still has the power to protect you in the middle of the very thing that was meant to destroy you. It was a bad day, but Lazarus walked out of the tomb. 4 days dead. Zero hope. Zero solutions. The people had already given up on him. And maybe that's what hurts the most, when even the people around you stop believing. But Jesus arrived. Because for God, nothing is ever truly lost, not even what looks dead. Dreams can come back to life. People can change. Hearts can be restored. There is still hope. It was a bad day, but Jesus rose again. It looked like a defeat. It sounded like silence. It felt like everything had ended on that cross. But the third day came. And maybe this is the message you needed to hear today. Bad days don't last forever. Pain does not have the final say. Fear doesn't have to control you. Suffering is not your permanent home.
God turns deserts into lessons, storms into testimonies, wounds into strength. And even when you don't understand it, He is still working in the silence. So don't you dare give up now. Don't stop in the middle of the battle. Don't walk away from your faith just because the season is hard.
Because the same hand that parted the sea, the same voice that calmed the storm, the same God who raised the dead is looking after you right now. Maybe you can't see it yet. Maybe it still looks dark. But just because God is silent doesn't mean He is absent. Your miracle might be closer than you think.